Resume recording. Okay. So the session is being recorded. Purpose of the recording is so that we can post the recording back to the community after the event. So there's two reasons for that. One is if you are not able to join us today for the entire session, you'll have an opportunity to go back and be able to hear the sessions that you may have missed. Also for the folks that did register, but for one reason or another were not able to make it, they'll still have an opportunity to check it out. Again, I mentioned there's going to be a lot of really exciting content being shared today, so we want to make sure that we capture that and get a chance and opportunity for playback at time that's more convenient for you. If you're not completely comfortable with the recording, I'd make two suggestions. One is keep your camera turned off. And if you opt not to use the microphone to ask questions, etc., and engage with us today, you're welcome to use the chat feature. My team will be on the lookout for any chat conversations or questions that come through. So those would be my recommendations. However, we do highly encourage you. Notice please engage is in big capital letters, is in bold. This session today is for your benefit. This is for you. We're here to provide an opportunity for you to connect with us, to connect with your peers, to connect with some of the Boomi experts that are going to be leading some of the discussions today. So definitely encourage you to jump in. This is, I consider this an offline version of community, just like you engage with your peers through the community. This is a chance to do that in a semi-live environment. This is in a two-dimensional environment versus the in-person 3D environment. But certainly we have the same sort of enthusiasm for these events. We just definitely encourage you all to join us today and to participate as much as you possibly can. Also, please turn your cameras on. Again, this is a way for us to feel a bit more connected as if we are in a live environment. You can't hide behind your books. You can't hide behind your book bag, but you can certainly use your cameras today to help us feel a bit more connected. So we certainly encourage you to do that as well. By default, mics are muted. You can unmute your mics at any time. This is highly encouraged. If you find a pause in the action, you have a question for one of the speakers or one of the other attendees at this event, just go ahead, unmute yourself. Again, find a break in the action and ask away. If you're not talking though, please do silence your mic just to eliminate any background noise. There will be a couple of polls today. We have a few other exercises that we're going to be launching to help get some audience participation, including Mentimeter, which I've used in the past. And if you're familiar with that, if you're not, you'll get a chance to see what that's all about. But please take your time to take those polls. The polls will help guide some of the conversation today, but they also provide this team with some feedback so that we can continue to improve these sessions, make them better for you in the future. Provides us with some food for thought, and feedback is a gift. So we'd really appreciate the time that you take. If you could take those polls, it'd be great. Don't join the Texas user groups. I apologize for that. I did not change that wording on the slide, but we do have some local user groups that are set up on the community. Please join those groups. Caitlin, if you could post the links to those groups in the chat, that would be great. It's a great way for this local audience to stay connected throughout the year between events. So if it's not at a Boomi World event, if it's not at Out of This World event, or if it's not at a user group, this is a great way for you all to stay connected to each other. So highly encourage you to join those local groups and keep connected. And then last but not least, we're here to have some fun. We're here to learn from each other. We're here to learn from the experts. We're here to connect, to make some new contacts, to expand our networks. But also at the same time, we want to have some fun. We want to learn some cool stuff and have some key takeaways from the session today. So with that, let's jump into the agenda. So again, my name is Andrew. For those of you just joining us, I run these events. I also am part of the Boomiverse team. So we are also running community. So for all of you who are familiar with that, those are the two programs that I'm heavily involved with. Just a few minutes here, Chris McNabb has joined us. He's the Boomi CEO, so we'll hear from Chris. He'll give us a few words of encouragement and welcome you all to today's session. Then we're going to get into the DevOps Roundtable with Adam Arrowsmith. Adam, you want to wave to the crowd? So Adam will kick it off with a couple of poll questions, and then we'll get into a roundtable discussion. Again, encourage you all to participate in that session with Adam. Then we're going to hear from Ann Maya. She's local to the UK. She's our Boomi general manager of Boomi Flow. So she'll get into a really interesting conversation about how to create heroes with Boomi Flow. So we'll hear more from her this afternoon. And then we're going to get into a fun and interesting session connecting IoT devices. I've had the opportunity to connect with the Solace folks who are all on the call today. They've led some really interesting live coding sessions in the past. We've done a kind of a condensed version for today's session. We have about a half an hour with them as well. So super excited to hear their story. And then we'll get into the end, just kind of wrap things up, have that closing poll, and then talk to you a little bit about Out of This World coming up, which is our version of Boomi World for 2020. So with that, Chris, I'd like to kick it over to you. Are you still with us?
I am, Andrew, and thanks for having me today. You know, it's a privilege for me to be able to chat, even if it's virtual, with our user communities in the UK and Ireland. And, you know, certainly I want to start out by hoping everybody is safe and healthy. You know, it's quite a challenge that we're all going through in this global pandemic, and all the roller coaster ride that is, hey, things are getting better, hey, things are getting worse, and you know, as we kind of work through that. So I think that, you know, my wish for everybody is to make sure that, you know, everybody's safe and healthy and families all good during this whole thing. I think the other thing to sort of kick it off, Andrew, is I just want to thank everybody for their support for their business and continued support throughout these times. You know, we're still here, Boomi is still here to partner with everybody, to work with you on your challenges. I think, you know, like most businesses, a lot of businesses are evolving relatively rapidly over the last, call it 6 months. And, you know, we're no different than that. I'll give a quick update on Boomi here in just a minute. But, you know, we're here to partner with everybody. You know, let us know what those challenges are. Let us know how we can help. You know, we've gotten some situations where government entities had an entirely manual process to renew healthcare cards. All of a sudden quarantine hits, and without a healthcare card, you don't get healthcare services. During COVID, those are fighting words, if you will. And, you know, we need to do something very rapidly. We along with a partner, helped them overcome that in about a 4-day period. So, you know, we're here to partner. And as struggles and challenges come up, you know, I hope you look to Boomi, you look to the Boomi ecosystem, its partners, its community, for that matter, in ways in which you can we can fight through all of this together. I think we're all better together, we're stronger together, and you know, it's that sense of community that'll get us through this. I do want to just provide a really quick update on the Boomi business. I said I would talk to that briefly. Listen, Boomi continues to do pretty well, I think, all things considered, during the global pandemic. While Q1 was a struggle, just as a reminder, Q1 for us is February, March, and April. March and April were pretty tough months, pandemic-wise, candidly speaking, and I think we were, you know, certainly affected by that. Hundreds and hundreds of deals pushed out of Q1 into Q2. Good news is our Q2, you know, May, June, July, was nearly record-setting for us. So a lot of the deals that were pushed out started to come to fruition. People started to get a grasp on what pandemic meant to them and what they were looking to do. So we're still fighting back through that. Long story short, we're in a position where we're in double-digit growth. We have over now 12,000 customers worldwide in over 80 countries. So we continue to grow the Boomi business. We're adding Boomi customers at the rate of about 6 or 7 a day right now. And I think that's still good, healthy growth for the business. And hopefully you see that as a good partnership and a good place to be for you guys as well. I think other things I would add, I think it's important to talk about, you know, our ecosystem and how Boomi is trying to help you drive your business forward. You know, this event is a very important event. You know, I want to thank Matt and Andrew and the entire team for putting this on, getting people together during this times to connect with each other, to network, to learn from each other. What are people doing to evolve their business, change their business, and share ideas? is all critical. And at the end of the day, you know, we're all trying to drive our business forward. And it's events like these that can really help. So I would also second what Andrew said. Please engage, you know, ask questions. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I'd like more information about that. Can you go into more detail about this story, et cetera, so you can understand what the art of the possible is. And to that end, Boomi continues to push forward and build an ecosystem that is here to support as well. You know, we've got hundreds and hundreds of partners worldwide. We'll continue to, you know, they can come on board to help accelerate your projects, give you a skill that you may not have initially, be there for a while, teach you how to not only to do it, but also accelerate certain initiatives. Like I said, the 4-day initiative we did with a partner as well around the healthcare card renewal. So our partner ecosystem is very strong. This community is a place to start and understand that you're not in it alone. Work with other people, connect with other people in this community, connect with us. So, you know, that ecosystem continues to grow. We as a business continue to invest in it, and we believe that this is a critical success factor for all of our customers to help them get done what they're trying to do in these very trying times. Final thing is, you know, as we continue to grow, as we continue to add customers, you know, it's always been strategic for us to try and create a worldwide workforce of Boomi skills. So if you're in a position to hire, or if you're looking to get more long-term skills in certain areas, Ann's going to talk to you a little bit later about Boomi Flow and what that does and how to create low-code mobile applications really rapidly, connecting to multiple back-end systems and creating an integrated experience for your customers. And, you know, that may not be a skill that you have readily in the business. Maybe you bought Boomi for more of a EDI, partner, B2B kind of a circumstance, or maybe it's cloud integration and those kinds of things. So Ann's here to talk to you. There's others, you know, with our Solace partnership around eventing and PubSub and things like that. There's all kinds of things that are going on. We put out 11 releases a year. So at the end of the day, we're investing in those partners. We're investing in our relationships. And Matt and his team are investing in certifying people in the Boomi platform. So if you're looking for employees, we're trying to grow the number of certified Boomi people worldwide as rapidly as we can. In the last 2.5 years, we have increased our certification rate by 10x. We used to certify 5 people a day. We're now certifying 50 people a day, and it's continuing to accelerate very rapidly. So making sure that you have resources available to you, whether it be employees, short-term partnerships, our PSO team, this community, investing in that ecosystem to partner with you is really a strategic initiative for us as well. So listen, I think the business is in good shape. We're looking forward to continuing to partner, engage in this community. There's a lot of great stories that you're going to hear. There's great things the local councils are doing, governments are doing, commercial businesses are doing to rapidly change their business and evolve very quickly, whether it be modernization or migration, all the way to creating mobile apps so people can do things digitally because my workers are quarantined at home. We've been involved in a lot of that over the 6 months, and the pace of that is only accelerating for our entire customer base worldwide. So with that, I hope you have a great day. I hope it's everything you hope for. You know, this is the kind of thing you get out of it, what you put into it. Andrew asked you to engage, so I would second that. And I want to thank you for allowing me to chat with you this morning. And thank you again for all of your support for us as we work through it. Thanks, I appreciate it. Cheers and goodbye.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the words.
Sure, my pleasure.
All right. So everybody, yes, definitely, as Chris said, this is your time. This is your time. It's an opportunity to connect with everybody, connect with us, ask your questions. You know, let's just treat this like a live environment that we're all here together in the same space, the same room. I kind of like these virtual events. Is this gives us a chance to connect with people that are perhaps, 2 hours away from an event that they just can't make the drive. There's too much traffic or not enough time in the day. So this really gives us a chance to connect with folks that are really outside of the normal areas that we do have the live events. So it's great to see so many folks on. We're up to about 60 people here today, so it's good to see that. I'm going to kick things off with the opening poll. As I mentioned, there are going to be a few polls throughout the session today. This is a good chance for people to start to get engaged in the conversation, at least to help drive some of that discussion. So let me get that going, and I would appreciate everyone participating in that. So give me just 1 second. Opening poll. All right. All right, so let's get that going. And then this will sort of tail as there is the final question in this poll will sort of trail into the next conversation being led by Adam. And then we'll get into the meat of today's session, which is all of the awesome content. Again, I mentioned this is a really exciting agenda for us. I worked a lot with Rosemary and the success team over in the UK and Derek's team as well to really put together an agenda that we felt would be incredibly beneficial to you all on the session, with hopefully some key takeaways from today's session as well. So really would love for folks to stick around as long as they possibly can. Don't want you to miss any of the action. But starting to see some responses come in here. All right, so the more events we have in one region, it's obviously that is this your first event? In the beginning, it was predominantly yes, but then it's been sort of flipping to no. So it's good to see a lot of our new folks joining us for the first time, but it's also good that people felt that they got a lot of value out of the first one that they are continuing to return. So it's good to see that. Good to see the return folks on here as well. All right, we'll give that another 10, 15 seconds or so. Got about a little over half of the folks have filled this out. And for those of you who are just joining us, that may have missed the very beginning, just wanted to take a second to welcome you all to the session. All right, so let's end the polling there, and I'm going to share the results. All right, so the first timers that continued. It was lagging a little bit behind the returnees, but that number continues to stay strong. So welcome everybody for if this is your first event. We appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to join us and to get connected with the local ecosystem. And of course, wanted to thank our returning attendees as well. All right, so we got a fair number of customer partner kind of split equally. We've got a lot of team members on here as well, no prospects. So wanted to thank all of our partners for joining us. I wanted to, of course, thank our customers and team members as well. And predominant number of folks from England, no big surprise there. Good to see everyone coming in from other parts of the UK as well. Nobody from Ireland. Rosemary, I'm surprised by that. Have to get those numbers up next time, huh? I see you talk. There you go. Now we can hear you. So Derek, I think we're tasked with that next time to get some more folks coming in from Ireland.
Absolutely.
All right. And good to see that the community, the Boomiverse community users, we have a small percentage have never heard of it. We have a smaller percentage than the number of folks that are actually using it. So we can follow up with you with some more information about the Boomiverse and why it's valuable for you all to get engaged in the community. All right, we have a good number of folks that are think it's worthwhile for them to recommend to their peers and their friends and their colleagues. Great to see that feedback. We do have a few folks that who are less inclined to share that, so we may reach out to you and find out what it is about the community that you feel that may need to improve. So thank you for that honest feedback. And with that, I'm going to kick this last one off to Adam. Adam, do you want want to take this one away, and then you're planning to share some slides, or are you going to be just talking, or what are your thoughts? I can pass the controls to you if you do need to share.
Yes, I will say. No, I have some slides, but definitely want to have a conversation here. Is that coming through?
Yep, we can hear you.
Cool. Well, very good. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Adam Arrowsmith. I've been around the Boomi community and whatnot for a while now. Right now I'm the product manager for integration. So I look after the integration services that I'm sure many of you use on a regular basis. And one of the big initiatives that we've been focusing on as a product organization, as a company, one of the themes, it's all around managing the development lifecycle. So we're gonna jump right into a bit of a technical topic here to kick things off. But I do, I think we get a lot of good feedback from folks on the user groups and that sort of thing, where we get into some of the kind of more tangible technical topics. I mean, there's some things there's some tips and tricks that you can go home. Maybe not later today if it's going to be the end of the day, but maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. Start off with some new things to think about. So managing the development lifecycle, if you want to think about it, basically moving things from build to test to deployment, that kind of thing. Or if you have a bit more of a sophisticated practice and you're following your shop is set up for CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and DevOps types practices. We've been doing a lot of evangelizing and creating some content and roadmap features and solutions and that sort of thing to help folks along that journey. So in looking at the poll results here, there's a mix of folks at different points in their journey, either from just starting off or not necessarily a priority to maybe focus too much on the standards and practices and maybe automating and streamlining some of the development practices. It might be just getting up and going, or your implementation is at a size where it doesn't warrant that investment, and that's very common. And then we have folks kind of across the spectrum, maybe doing a little bit, have a few things. So what does this say? About 16% or so. Got some things in place, some best practices, some guidelines, maybe some naming conventions. You're doing, promotions to those environments, that kind of thing. And then, you got about 46, if I combine the medium and high folks, who are, kind of taking it to that next level where they're looking to automate, doing things with the API or even hooking into tools outside of Boomi and really kind of bringing Boomi, the work that you're doing within Boomi into your broader software delivery lifecycle system. So, we'll kind of talk here at a multitude of levels. I do have a few slides maybe to help set the context of the conversation, or if we need to kind of show some examples, or if there's questions. But we've done a couple of webinars recently on some of the solutions, and we have a session coming up in the Boomi Out of This World event coming next month as part of the product episode series. So look out for that, but those are going to get really into the details, and that's going to be kind of more presentation, the Boomi team sharing with you some of the tips and tricks and that sort of thing. But what I think is always really special about these user groups, and that's different than those other opportunities, is this is an occasion where you all can share your stories with one another, and share some tips, tricks, ask questions, and that sort of thing. So, I'm going to say set a few things up here with some slides. Oh, there's my face. But what I'd like everyone to think about is, I'd love for some folks, maybe in each of those kind of categories, medium or high, or just kind of starting out, share a little bit of your story. What are you doing? What cool things are you doing? Are you automating part of the process? What questions or what challenges do you have? And certainly, as from the product side, I'm always eager to hear the feedback about what challenges you might be having, what could be done easier, and just how you're thinking about things. So, I don't think I'm going to resort to calling on people, but I would love to have some folks maybe kind of step up and share a little bit about what you're doing in your organization. We got a relatively manageable small class size here, so wouldn't be too concerned about that. Sound good?
Yep. So Adam, do you want me to, how do you want to run this with the, you said you have a couple of slides. I know we have the Mentimeter word cloud. Do we want to kick that off?
Yeah, would it be possible to do the Mentimeter thing kind of in the background while I'm talking through some slides here?
Well, I end up sharing. Yeah, so I basically, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up. I'll share it. It'll build out, with the question. It'll build out in real time. You can talk through that and then flip to the slides after we've had a few minutes to let that bake. Does that sound like a good path?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll have those results, and we can work that into the conversation here.
Perfect. All right, great. So if everybody could go to menti.com, I'm sharing the screen here. I'm going to present this. If you all could just go to this website, menti.com, and then just punch in this code 9401005, and you should see a form on your screen that will ask you to fill out. And then I'm hovering over the question to add a little bit more color here. And as your questions get submitted, this will start to build out this word cloud in real time. So we'll start by using this, and then we'll let Adam kind of talk over this. And then whenever you're ready, Adam, for me to stop sharing and switch back to you, just let me know.
Sure.
All right, there we go. So I think we did this on the last session here in the UK. We did the word cloud for a different question, different subject. So hopefully some of you are somewhat familiar with this. So obviously we see automation being the primary theme here. So Adam, you can start diving in as folks are still chiming in here with their responses.
Yeah. Yeah, one sec. It's okay if I stop your sharing there?
Yeah. Why don't you stop, and then if you want, I can send these over to you or something like that. But I'll stop sharing, and then you can pull up your stuff on your side, and I'll let this continue to bake.
Yeah, that workflow is kind of fun to see come into focus there, and I think that that might be a good way to focus maybe kind of the show and tell aspect. If automation is one of the key things, who's got a story around how you're automating or what you're looking to automate, that sort of thing. So I'd ask you all to start thinking about that. Keep it in mind while we have a few things to chat about here. Again, just kind of at a high level. I know we got there's an audit. There's a mix of folks' experience with this topic, or where you are in your Boomi implementation journey, from just starting out to really looking to streamline it. But even if you are just kind of starting out, one of the things you want to kind of start to think about is, how to best manage how you and your team are working in the Boomi platform. Obviously, Boomi is a low-code platform, but there are still best practices and understanding the native features within the tool, whether it be the testing capabilities, the versioning capability, how that works within the platform, the deployment and promotion aspects, monitoring, all that, and how to just make the best use of those. So as hopefully your implementation will grow, you'll have more processes, you'll have more folks in there doing things. Eventually you reach a scale where to be able to manage that at scale, whether it's through automation, automated monitoring, that kind of thing. So one way that organizations will, think about this, talk about it, is through DevOps, developer operations, which really covers the full life cycle. Everything from planning what you're going to build, to, in a traditional sense, coding and then doing a build, the testing, and then releasing, deploying it on the ops side, as well as a long tail of operating and monitoring. So when we talk about, Boomi plus DevOps, really it's these topics that we're looking to have as part of that conversation. Why do organizations do this? I'm not here to evangelize DevOps necessarily, but it's all about delivering higher quality integrations or software solutions, as quickly as possible, but still with that quality, make it faster, more consistent. I know the word compliance, which is certainly on folks' minds, is a top consideration for a lot of organizations. So having, defining consistent, repeatable processes and tooling to enforce those processes becomes increasingly important for folks. And so when we think about Boomi, it is a slightly different paradigm than traditional software coding. If you're coding in, C#, Java, that sort of thing. But so there are some concepts that are different, but there are a lot of those concepts still do apply, and I think that's important for folks to understand, is that kind of the tagline here, right? So low code, no code doesn't mean no control. Doesn't mean you can't exercise that level of governance, including incorporating some of that Boomi development and your components, your assets into existing tools and procedures that you might have in your organization that are being used for those more traditional developments, right? So whether you have pipeline orchestration tools, things like Jenkins or Azure pipelines or other tools like that, CloudBees, or you're managing and you're using a repository like GitHub or Bitbucket as a means to house the versions and then trigger processes and that sort of thing, kick off deployment procedures. We can hook into that. And why might you want to do that with Boomi? Well, almost by definition, right? So integration doesn't exist on its own. It's always connecting to at least usually two other systems, which are evolving and changing. Maybe you're updating database tables or you're adding custom fields to a SaaS application, that kind of thing, that the integration needs to react to. So as you're pushing those changes to those endpoint systems, the integration needs to be modified as well, maybe change some field mappings or rules or import that new field, whatever. So being able to coordinate the Boomi deployments with non-Boomi things becomes really important, right? I want to make sure all that stuff is versioned and goes out at the same time, and you don't have mixed versions, that kind of thing. And again, we touched on the automation and speed, but you don't want to just push stuff to production as quickly as possible. You want to make sure it also is quality, and you have the confidence that it's been It's gone through the right approvals. It's done a level of testing if you set that up. So really, you know, in Boomi, you have the high productivity of a low-code configuration-based tool, but you still have that aspect of high control. It's not an either/or. And I think that's, you know, kind of the message that we want to leave folks with. I just kind of looking at that in a slightly different lens here. You know, we very much view Boomi as a, you know, for organizations that need it, like we are a participant in a broader ecosystem. We don't intend to be the center of the universe for everything DevOps. We're going to plug in with your existing tooling and procedures and work with those across the entire DevOps lifecycle there. So we're committed to the ecosystem. We are partners with folks like CloudBees, which is a enterprise version, commercial version of Jenkins. We're a member of the CD, Continuous Delivery Foundation. So it's a group of kind of thought leaders and folks thinking about how to move this space forward. So we're happy to be part of that. And yeah, it's kind of the preamble here of setting the stage. I have a few other things maybe to share from, you know, as we kind of wrap up here in 10, 15 minutes, but would love to kind of open up to the floor here and, you know, maybe share some stories around the outcome of that word cloud. So maybe two things to kind of pick on would be, first and foremost, automation. That was the largest one there. Would anyone have a story or a question or that sort of thing around how they're automating some aspect of that process lifecycle management that they'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, this is less of a story and more of a question.
Sure.
Seeing GitHub and you know, sort of more source control types of applications, I know that you've expanded to, you know, sort of separate out the packaging and deployment operations recently. And it seems like you're offering more access to the source control or the actual source underlying processes. Do you see a time, and maybe it's now, where you would be able to store your source, your Boomi source, in something like GitHub as opposed to a packaged component?
Gotcha. I'll answer that as a bit of a yes and no. I'll start with the no first. At this point, excuse me, Boomi is still going to be the system of record, the source of truth for the versions, and the modifications and the packaging will happen in Boomi. So we're not at a point now. We're always kind of evaluating it, but there are some big implications to our platform if we were to allow external source management and external modifications to the platform as it relates to everything from referential integrity between components, validations of components, versionings of the schema definition for that component XML, kind of things. Not to get too far into the weeds. But it is something we're definitely evaluating. We certainly get asked, you know, that question pretty frequently, just because that's often the paradigm that a lot of folks are working in, right, in a traditional software development environment. And honestly, that's, I think, been a kind of a sticking point for us, or I don't think we haven't done as well a job as we could have in articulating how you work with those types of tools. And I think in the past year or so, we've articulated that point of view much more clearly. Most notably with our CI/CD reference implementation, which is a framework and a methodology and some scripting assets and that sort of thing available in the Boomiverse community. So the general way in which we work with a source control like GitHub is you'd create the package in Boomi still for that version. You say, hey, this version of the process is good to go. And then extracting that package, either just the metadata, kind of the version of that package and when and who created it, that sort of thing, and or all of the components within it, which we have some new APIs for that were released earlier this year, which opened some interesting use cases. And so by checking that into and committing that into GitHub, then what's interesting about that is a lot of pipeline orchestration tools get triggered or initiated from that initial commit, right? So you can do things like once you check that package in, the Boomi package into GitHub, maybe that's kicking off a pipeline that is triggering things like firing off some unit tests, whether you've defined those in something external like a SOAP UI or other just kind of simple curl API calls, or you've designed your processes in a way that they can be unit testable. Another solution we have called the DevOps Center provides an approach to do some of that unit testing. If that's of interest to folks, I definitely want to leave you with some links and some thoughts on what you can do there. So pipeline, the testing. One thing that's kind of neat is pretty powerful is that now that we're able to pull out the component XML, if you have code quality tools like SonarQube is a pretty popular one, at least here in the US, to validate that people are, your team, your developers are following your standards and conventions, whether that's naming conventions or where you source the connections from, like what folder they're stored in. Are you setting extensions? Are you parameterizing exceptions and message shapes and all sorts of things like that to enforce that quality? And then, of course, triggering promotions, and if you have workflow around approvals or whatever, we can just tie into all that. And then that pipeline would then be calling APIs back on the Boomi side to trigger those things, do a deployment, set the extension, set a schedule, whatever. So that's the current leading practice with working with code management, things like GitHub and Bitbucket. Anyone else have a question or want to share something around, share a story around automation or maybe quality? I see compliance on there as well.
Yeah, so I think I saw Michael put this in the chat as well, and we have this issue, which is how do we get the code that has been written, the scripts that has been written, either inline scripting or functional scripting, how do we get it out and throw it through the same code checking capabilities that we have with, for instance, SonarQube? That's definitely one area. And we're just starting that journey with yourselves. So, we've got quite a lot of services, and at the moment we're doing it by hand because clearly that's not the most efficient way of doing it. The other piece around that is code auditing. So we would use a tool like Black Duck, for instance, to make sure that if we're using open source code, so for instance, if you've got a crypto library, and we're going to reference open source code, what we want to make sure is if we've embedded that code somewhere in a Boomi process, that we can pick that up and ensure that it's compliant as well. So that's one of our key struggles at the moment, because we've got a lot of legacy business processes that are encoded in bits of Java and bits of JavaScript now. And it's really a question of, okay, yeah, we know we can't do this in native shapes, but how do we audit that code? How do we get it out and make sure that it's going through the same quality tools as our regular code?
So that means, it's Michael Pullen. So that means that you try to apply manual control before the code is embedded into Boomi, but then you have only testing to validate that the code working as expected. Is it right?
Yes, exactly. So you have to run a series of regression tests that run obviously on the Boomi process itself rather than just on the individual pieces of code. And we've got, in some cases I've literally been looking through this myself today. There's all sorts of complex logic around how orders are formed and what kind of subscription that is valid based on all sorts of different valid fields that come in and out of XML. And that's very, very difficult and time consuming to validate once that code is inside Boomi.
In this case, one very short question. Assume you have a places where you have to embed your code, for example, in the mapping shape for functional transformation of data. Is it possible to have code somewhere outside of Boomi and verified and approved and whatever, stamped, and then upload it almost dynamically before you converting integration into the executable? Uploading is the keyword here, instead of writing directly into the Boomi environment and cut and paste, copy.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, I will give my little tiny answer, but you're the expert here. I mean, I know you can, and we are looking at this. You can have, Java bytecode libraries that are invoked from within Boomi scripting. So you could do the heavy lifting, I guess, there and deploy the Java libraries, and then simply have the script as a shell, as a container calling those Java libraries. But I'm not familiar with other methods.
Correct. Yes, there are ways to bring your own custom libraries into Boomi, and have those versioned and deployed along with your process and through those mechanisms as well. Yeah. So if you had extensive logic with those types of requirements, that certainly is a path that we advise folks. If you really need to do that level of custom scripting, that would warrant basically like a mini application if you're developing that in Java or whatever else. It certainly can make sense to develop that externally, really as a common library, and then bring that into Boomi as a common jar, and have your scripts just be the pass through to that to provide that level of scrutiny. Okay, so I'm getting the light here to wrap it up. I know this is a topic that we can go long and deep on, because there's a lot of details to get into. And I saw there were some questions in the chat here. I'll do my best to respond to those as we go on to the next session, just so we have some conversation there. But as just to kind of wrap up real quick, and leave you with a few pointers. 1 second here. I'm gonna advance my slide all the way to the end here. Good work. Cool. Like I said, there's a lot of questions and a lot of interest in the topic, so we've created a number of resources for all of us to talk about. We do have a landing page on our website, boomi.com/devops, which has all our kind of general material, but it also has links to our recent and upcoming webinars on this topic. So for folks especially interested in tying into pipelines or source control like that, definitely check out the CI/CD reference implementation webinar that's out there, that's recorded. Check that out. And then we also have a new flow-based solution called Boomi DevOps Center, which provides some capabilities around unit testing and defining test cases and assertions and test suites and that sort of thing that interact with your integration processes. It also has a number of just kind of cool, helpful reporting and analysis and that sort of thing that has been great to see manifest in the Flow app. It really helped some of the integration management use cases there. But then in the Boomiverse, as part of this community, we have our Boomi DevOps User Group, virtual online forum dedicated just to this topic. So I encourage you to let's continue this conversation there. And so, Andrew, I don't think we'll have time to discuss here as we as we transition to the next topic, but a bit selfishly, as the integration PM, I always like to kind of leave folks with one question here, which is, if there was, separate from DevOps here, but if there was one thing that you could improve in integration, what would it be? Boomi integration. So cool. Thanks for that time. And Andrew, if you want to kick that off, we'll kind of have that as a takeaway then.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
It should, so I just advanced. Let me reshare here. Let me stop your spotlight. Take you out of the spotlight here, Adam. 1 second. So for those of you who are still on the menti.com, there is one additional question in here, which would be that takeaway. Does everybody see that? If you need to hop back in there, this will be our second and final word cloud. And all this content, all this material, including the Q&A in the chat, everything will be posted to the community within a couple. I'm promising a 3-day turnaround, which is greatly improved over the last one. So be on the lookout for that much sooner than our last wrap-up report, and then we'll send the link out to that shortly. Is everybody able to see my screen? They can see this slide here. Is that a yes? Shaking heads. Do I see any head nods? There we go. Starting to come in. So this would be a great takeaway, and I'll be sure to share this with Adam and the product team so that they can take some of these thoughts and feedback into consideration as we continue to improve our products and services with your feedback. So again, that theme of feedback as a gift, we take that seriously, and I'll make a quick plug for community while I have a chance here. For those of you who are not familiar with the ideation tool on community that provides you with a chance to submit your product ideas, you can choose integration as a topic. If you want to focus specifically on the integration piece, and then allow your peers to vote on those ideas. And once they reach a certain threshold, then those do get reviewed by the product team. So would encourage you to jump in there as well. If I could have maybe Adam or Matt or Caitlin post the link to that ideation tool into the chat, that would be super helpful. Adam, I was also going to suggest that you put the link to the DevOps user group also into the chat for folks if they want to join that. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do.
But we'll take another minute or so here, allow this to build out, because we are going to be flipping to another Mentimeter for the next session. So, Anne, I think you and your team you guys are all ready?
Yep, we're all set.
Great. Great. And keep the questions coming, by the way, in the chat. And let's just carry this conversation on. And just based on what I said earlier, what Chris encouraged as well, if you do have questions and you're comfortable asking those questions out loud versus in the chat, by all means, please find a pause in the action and do that. I'm sure Anne and her team would appreciate any live questions, but we'll also continue to stay on the lookout for questions that come through the chat. All right, so I think that's pretty good. Let's switch gears here. So Anne, I think you're all set. Do we want to start off with that first Mentimeter slide? So we have another Menti exercise.
Yeah.
Now that you've got your Menti chops down, I'm gonna switch to the next presentation here, and we'll use this as a basis to start your conversation. Give me just 1 second to do that. All right. So we have two more super exciting sessions. Anne and I had a chance to walk through her talk earlier this week. I think it was yesterday or Monday. So you're in for a treat with Anne and her team, and then we have Trish and Tamimi and her and his team to wrap things out at the very end. So definitely want to stick around for that. They're a fun group, have a lot of energy, and have something really cool to share with you all. So let me kick this one off. So go to menti.com, put the new code in, which is 472056. That'll take you to this question. And then we're going to start with this one question, and I think we're going to do the second question at the end after Anne and and her team wrap things up. Cool, I like that answer. Know it, use it, love it. Awesome. So you got a bunch of no's here, and so you guys are gonna have a nice opportunity here to share that tool with all of our great folks here on the line.
Yep, definitely brought the right people.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm sure Tillo and Leslie would have loved to join us if it were a little bit later in their day.
We might actually see some of their work.
Cool.
Demos, so
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So we'll give them some props.
for sure.
Although Leslie's been chatting with me on Slack, so she's up bright and early on 7 a.m. I guess her time. Not
She
too
never
early.
stops. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay, I think we've
tell
got a
me.
sense.
We're good?
Yeah, we got a sense. Yeah. So
Great.
why don't I go ahead?
So
and
I'll leave this up, but I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'll allow you all to take over.
Awesome. Thank you. Oopsie. All right. Well, welcome, guys, and thanks for giving us a chance to talk. Really excited. This is my first virtual user group, or first user group for Boomi. My name is Ann Maya. I'm the GM for Boomi Flow. I've been with Boomi for about 1.5 years, so you may not have heard of me or seen me before, but what I do is I lead Boomi Flow from a business perspective. So I try and bring all the smart people together, and then we just create magic. So I've got with me here today Will Eccles and Robert Van Bentum. And I don't want to put words in their mouths, so Will, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thanks, Anne. Hi, everyone. Will Eccles. I'm the Global Head of Professional Services. I've been working with Flow for over 6 years now, so part of the original founding team. And I run a team that help customers to deliver and implement their solutions. Over to you, Robert.
Thanks, Will. Robert Van Bentum. I'm a sales engineer in EMEA, and I'm one of the sales engineers that focus on Flow within the organization and within EMEA.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Will. We'll go straight into this now. Will, as you can hear, he's our expert. He's our resident expert. He's been with Flow since it was Manywho, back in the days of the acquisition. So he knows everything there is to know. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have him give you a quick overview of Flow, because what we want to cover today is a cool new competition we'll be running. And we'll be looking for some input and some contribution from you guys. But I thought I'd bring someone kind of smart just to kind of tell you about Flow and also maybe give you a deeper dive than you normally would have seen. So if it goes over your head, don't worry, it's always over my head, but definitely put questions in the chat if you want to slow down, take it back. But without further ado, Will, over to you.
Sure, thanks, Sam. So maybe asking yourself, those that haven't already encountered Flow, used Flow, what is Boomi Flow? So it's our modern cloud-native low-code application development platform. And what that really means is I have a technology stack within Boomi, not just to integrate things together, but to produce those experiences, those applications, whether it be on desktop or mobile, to help you achieve your business outcomes. And what that means is to really put value in your users' hands, whether that's an internal user base or whether that's a customer. So with use cases like insurance companies using us to establish claim forms or claim apps that are digital, through to governments and counties using us to build interactive portals to manage critical care. We can produce almost any application that you could do in code. And coming from a background of running engineering teams, I know this firsthand. So I've ran teams of people who spend all day in PHP, .NET, producing the same applications that I now spend my days producing those same applications, but in a low-code environment. So that's dragging blocks of logic onto a screen to produce an experience. And you can see how this is really tightly related to what we do with integration. So I like to see an application, or say an application without integration is really a form. So the moment you empower your Boomi Flow applications with those rich integrations is when you move to an actual fully fledged application with real capabilities. So there's definitely a strong energy and focus on helping our users to achieve their business outcomes. And that's by building efficiently, by quickly publishing, I know at the end of Adam's previous conversation, a lot of questions around how do you handle source code, how do you handle CI/CD? And with Flow, we see a lot of our users doing that rapid prototyping. That's really important. So I've got a few slides that walk a little bit through the technology. I'm going to go down, I'm going to come back up again, going to try and give everyone something on this. So what we're looking at right here is a diagram that you've probably seen on our site. It kind of describes where Flow fits into the technology stack, the platform that is Boomi. So what we have, let me get a pencil and see if I can draw on this. What we have over here is those experiences that we can expose, or those systems that we can integrate with. And by connecting things together using integration and building those experiences using Flow, we can expose often those business systems that we have back here in this area. We can expose those right up to the user. So if you're exposing an application to an end customer or a group within your business, being able to leverage those systems, whether it's identity for seamless SSO, so that no one likes to type in passwords all day long. So being able to leverage your existing SSO, that's really powerful. Leveraging those integrations to access file services, database services, or any other service. So we've seen examples of in an IoT space where we're monitoring patients, we're monitoring engines and hardware and other environmental type situations. I think even one use case around managing and monitoring car parking availability. So you can see how when you can expose all of that work you've done in the form of integration or those business systems, and you can consolidate it all up into applications that are quick to implement, that you can maintain, and that you can roll out and distribute to users. So really, really proud of what we've done recently in the mobile space. We now support PWA, or progressive web apps. So those people on the call that are used to compiling code, working in Xcode or something like Cordova or PhoneGap, you can take a workflow application or an app and you can put it through our plugin, and out the end of it is that commonly recognizable APK or Apple package that you can deliver through your app stores. You could also deliver the same experience directly on the device just by using PWA. So that means that the browsers on mobile phones now are so good, and with the innovations coming from the operating systems, we can leverage sort of near native type functionality, but without needing to install applications. So where you need to get applications quickly into your users' hands, we've got a couple of those user stories. You can bookmark an application and it installs onto your desktop and looks like a native app, behaves like a native app. And that's really powerful that, that we have that capability out of the box. So this is sort of the landscape high up. And then we move down one layer. So what's going on here? Well, this is really just to give you an idea of the microservice nature of what the Boomi Flow product element is. So everything is broken up into a microservice. We're API first. What that means is our developers expose functionality as core APIs first, and then we build a UI on top of it. In some cases, we deliberately don't build an interface because we intend our users to build or consume that functionality. Things like over here with our events and reporting area, what that means is if you work in healthcare, finance, or any other regulatory bound industry, we have a way of you receiving a real-time carbon copy of everything that happens in Flow from an execution perspective. So kind of gone are the days where you need to worry about keeping audit records or retention policies of application, what value was changed. If you work in, say, a bank and one of your users calls and wishes to change their address, how do you handle that? How do you track that change has happened? Well, that all happens out of the box using our events engine. On top of that, you can see here the front end that powers these experiences. It's not using proprietary technology. There's no Lightning here. There's no Apex, although we're very friendly and happy to be embedded into those Salesforce environments. We're using just traditional Bootstrap and React, HTML, CSS, so you can build the exact experience that you're looking for. So we get challenged on the delivery side of the business. We often get mock-ups or a design from someone that's had no limitations to draw some really great experiences, and then we have to produce the necessary CSS and HTML in order to produce that like-for-like experience. So decoupling the experience from the functionality we see with these endpoints, and really just think of these as things that you can do. So I can embed, I can execute, I can package, we can translate all of the provisioning, all of the modeling data. And this is all sat on top of a metadata based API first platform. So for those that are looking for a platform that really doesn't have any limitations, because every part of it is designed to be extendable, it's designed to be a microservice, and all of this for those thinking, well, how does this scale? If I want to run this, against the user base of 100,000 or 1 million people, what does that look like? And that's because we can distribute all of these endpoints across our cloud-based infrastructure. We've got any questions? I can see the chat is moving. I'll pause for a moment at the end and we can catch up on some of these questions. For those
there's one question there. I don't know if you want to answer it, but are events outbound only from Flow, or can we use inbound events as well? Asking for a friend who works for a company or works for an event broker company.
Awesome. No, great question. So the events engine that we have there is effectively just saving to an endpoint every change. We do have, so events that come from Flow are outbound only, but we do have our run API, our run endpoint that you saw on that previous screen, and that's for all inbound events. So when you execute a workflow, you can trigger a workflow. I'll just highlight it here. Nearly got it circled. This one here. So this, if you think about this as your input into a workflow, whether that's to initiate a new workflow, to move it on, to add additional data, to make further decisions, and think of this as an output or a historical record, what's going on there. Does that answer your question? Awesome.
That was a question from Jesse.
Yes.
I think the answer was yes.
Fantastic.
And just a reminder for folks, if you do have questions, you're of course welcome to use the chat, but would prefer to hear your voices.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Interact, ask questions.
So
Say, slow down, Will, or Will, you're awesome. Whatever.
That's right. Find a chance to jump in, interrupt, or whatever the case may be.
Can't read some of the text on the light blue slides, light blue squares on that. The second one in, there's obviously some white on white at the top line. No, the light blue, next line down.
Oh yeah, so that's really talking about the business rules. So whether it's there are effectively actions that happen. So this here is a hypothetical. So what happens? Well, we have the idea of access rights. So that's being provided by an identity system. So it can be anything that supports SAML, OAuth, OpenID Connect. In this case, we're saying, well, you can log in with Salesforce. You can carry out a series of applications that we've built, whether it's registration, patient visits, trade allocation, service requests, and then there's some events, some actions that happen from that. Whether it needs approval, whether it has, whether there's a compliance impact, any entitlement. So this is really just working through the kind of a solution stack that we have and how we typically see them being implemented. Using business objects. So if you're talking about a Salesforce context, being able to leverage all of your object data, whether that's custom or standard objects, and effectively building an application within the Salesforce platform, in this case, that can drive those outcomes and interface natively with the standard Salesforce functionality. Excuse the dog. I think the postman has arrived.
Okay,
Any
thanks
other
for that,
questions about what you see here?
And some of this actually may make a little bit more sense as you see real implementations of the Flow product. And Robert's going to go through one example in a sec. But Will, I know that we talked about, Chris McNabb, our CEO, at the beginning spoke about how some of the ways that we've helped customers through some of the more recent crises. Do you want to just give us a quick example of how this worked for one of our customers?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I think the one that resonates strongly right now given the climate, is around the COVID response and the health card registration that we did with one of our government customers. So the government of Gibraltar, country just off the southern tip of Spain, they're required to have health card registration in order to access either medical aid or to submit for effectively income support if people are off with a COVID-related illness. Now they traditionally are a very paper-based government service provider, so there's lots of forms, lots of government officials in offices processing those requests. So being able to build a portal so that the citizens of Gibraltar can quickly register for a health card or renew an existing health card using their mobile device or their desktop, and to get that quickly and confidently, we turned that around from having nothing but a paper-based form to having that solution in place and receiving thousands of requests. Had all of that turned around in less than 2 days. We were leveraging a lot of the design patterns that we'd been implementing on a different project for them. So the idea of a middle office approval place. So if you fill in a paper form, it goes to a processing center. If you fill in a digital application, where does that go? So we also produced this, what we call a middle office, which is where a government official can review the request and either accept or reject or comment with the citizen. It's just really, it's a great example of building complex functionality securely with a limited number of people and getting it turned around from end to end in just a matter of hours to solve a real need. And now those use cases are all over the place. So we see we're working on things like how do you apply for tax relief? How do you apply, or business relief? How do you apply for visas and passports and identity card replacements? So really every process or every form that they traditionally had in paper, we're now going through an exercise of converting to digital using flow and integration with that customer.
Yeah, I think that's a great story regardless, but especially in the context of which we were able to help. And the reason why we bring this up is because I wanted to get you guys thinking about ways that flow can be used. And thanks for that, Will. I hope you stick around because I'm pretty sure there'll be questions later, or at least I hope there will be. Right now, I want to just change gears a little bit and talk about what this was about. I wanted to talk about the Boomi Flow Hero app competition. But first I wanted to talk about disruption. So as we all know, natural disasters happen, human-made disasters happen, and pandemics happen. And unfortunately, in the year 2020, we got a little bit of all of these things. And unfortunately, depending upon where you are in the world, you might have gotten all of these things. So it's been a really unfortunate year. And I think that we've seen a lot of people have to adapt really, really quickly. But what I think has been completely wonderful is that people are resilient and we've been able to overcome a lot of this. And some businesses are actually thriving, if not being able to carry on pretty much as normal. And what we've seen here at Boomi is that technology has really been the key. Digital technology has really been a key to helping organizations adapt to the changes that are occurring. And, pandemics may come and go. They may, God, I hope they go, but they may come and go. But we know there's always going to be disruptions. People are talking about the new normal. Is there a normal? Things will happen and we're going to have to be able to adapt. So what we were looking at here is organizations that were quick to adapt were able to use software like ours to be able to leverage digital technology and quickly. So many people would have said, many CIOs, CTOs would have said they had in their roadmap digital transformation of some sort, but they might have taken different routes to get there. The ones that took the quick route saying, we are just going to have to do it as we need to so we can keep moving, kind of did okay. And a lot of those guys use Boomi. They use Boomi and they use Boomi Flow. And the beauty of this is that once they've made that they've made that change and adapted to the new environment, they were able to then see efficiencies that would see them through even in normal times, quote unquote. And one of the examples here is curbside pickup. So if you can all recall the lockdown, hopefully you're not still in a lockdown, but during those times, restaurants, pubs were closed, but people still needed access to that food. One thing that we did roll up, and this is Leslie, I said, Andrew, I'd bring up Leslie. This is Les, one of our SEs extraordinaire, has built this sample app here called the Curbside Pickup using Boomi Flow. So using that technology Will just described, she very quickly rolled up an app that would allow a restaurant to organize pickups from individuals, so they could get to the curb, register their car, and then the restaurant would be able to say, yep, we've got your order, it's ready, and they'd be able to see the license plate, deliver the food, all social distancing, all quite cool. There's a video up there if you want to check it out. I think we're going to share the slides so you'll have access to that. But that was just one cool implementation. But one of the things we did as well see is that unfortunately not all organizations have access to technology like ours. And actually, more importantly, they don't have access to people like you guys or technical people who can actually build these solutions. So that's the missing secret sauce, I think. And I was sitting there talking to some of my friends, well, in a pub once we were able to get there. And you know, I was saying it would be great if we could leverage some of the really cool stuff we've seen come out of our interns and come out of hackathons. Because, you know, if you think about an intern or a hackathon, or, you know, you develop experienced developers doing a hackathon when they have the time to do it, they can create some pretty cool stuff very quickly. And I thought, if we give them the low-code solution that accelerates them even further, what if I just said, look, we're going to give them Flow for free. Let's just see what you can do to help out your neighbor, help out a local community organization. And that's what I want to do, be able to connect people with the right skills that are in short supply with tech. And if we can do that, and if we can do that successfully, then we can do some good in the world. So that's what we're trying to do with the Hero app. And I've opened it up from September 2nd. So if you go onto boomi.to/hero, you can go there now. It's up and running. We're giving away 1 year free Flow license. For all you have to do is register. Think of an organization, you know, a community organization, somebody like an NGO, charity that needs your help. And if you or somebody you know has the ability to build these apps, like if you have some sort of web dev or app dev experience, submit your application, build the app, submit it through the app here, Hero app. And no matter what happens, even if you win or lose, that client of yours will have access to Flow for free for 1 year. So kind of good. We are going to give out some prizes though. So actually what we're asking you to do is lend your skills, lend your time, you be the hero, and you might be able to win some prizes too. And I'll talk about what those are in just a second. So the prizes will be announced at the end of November. We may stretch that out, depends on how it goes, but so November is the time. So you need to get cracking on this if you want to get involved. The prizes will be awarded to the top 3 Hero apps. Now I've got the number here. So first place prize is a $400 Amazon gift card. So this, you need to read the rules to see which EMEA countries are eligible. But if a winner comes through from, say, a country that we don't have listed there, we still don't want to rule them out. So I'm working with legal to see how we can do something to offer something comparable. But UK and I is included. First place is $400, second is $250, third place is $100, and all 3 winners will get this really cool Boomi swag kit. The judging criteria will be, there's a panel of judges within Boomi who will be basing it, the winner, based on positive impact, innovative approach, and community interest. We have all the details and official rules in the app itself, which Robert will be taking you through in just a second. Also, if you don't know about Flow, and I know that we gave you a really quick deep dive there, we have a ton of resources available on site. You go train.boomi.com. There's 2 courses you can run, Flow Essentials and Flow Pro Dev. Ton of documentation up on the Flow site. And of course, through the Boomi community with lots of people willing to help. You just need to use the hashtag Boomi Hero app in the Flow forum. There's a product page up here. The link will be in the materials that Angie sends out after this session. And really recommend having a look here as well. If you go to discover.boomi.com, there are a lot of sample apps that were created by our Flow SEs, so our SEs and our solutions team. So if any of you know Andy Tillo, he's done a lot of those, Jeremy Eastburn and Leslie Nispel. So there's a lot of great stuff up there on that site. With that, I want to hand you over to Robert so he can actually show you through an app, through the Hero app, as well as a sample app. And I'll pause there for questions as well if there are any.
Yeah, lots of questions continue to pour in through the chat. So just for everyone's interest, for those who are perhaps not following the chat thread, if for those of you who do have questions, again, want to encourage you to ask those questions out loud. If not, you're not comfortable with that, that's fine, totally get it. And we can just respond to questions in line on the chat thread. So the presenters for today, just be on the lookout for those questions coming through, and others who are able to chime in as well would be great. But Robert, take it away.
Yeah, okay, if it's all good, you would see the Hero App Challenge webpage by now.
Yes.
And so basically this is already a Flow app. So the guys in the US already built a nice application to support the challenge. And what we see here at the top is basically the location where we can register and log in. I'll show you that later, but the rest of the page basically covers all the details about the challenge. So it needs to be a positive impact. It needs to have community value. We're not looking for a money-making application, but we're really looking for something that will help everybody around you in the community and in the world to do something good. The prizes Anne already discussed, and after my story, if you just want to revisit it again, the American version is here in the video by my colleague Jeremy. So he will basically tell the same story as I do at the moment. And at the bottom of the homepage, we have some examples, which I will touch later. Now, how to have a bit of look on the details. So submissions. This is the place where where you will see all the apps that are submitted and approved by our team already that is eligible for the pricing. Currently, there is nothing through yet, so hopefully soon that will change. If you want to have a deeper look in the rules, this is the small print, which always goes with these challenges. All the details that the app has to follow are located here. And we also have a help page at the back. Basically, this will be filled with all questions that come out of the people that are working on the challenge to give you a bit more help on guiding you through to make the perfect app. So if we look at one of the examples that are presented at the bottom, we have some more, of course, on the discover.boomi.com site, which I will show you later as well. But I would just want to quickly show you the live example here of the capacity tracker. The capacity tracker is basically an example of a tool that will help you with small retail organizations or restaurants to help you follow the regulation that is needed to have the maximum amount of people in your premises. So what we've done here, basically the flow is already started here, the application already started. What you have to require to provide here is your details. That you can have multiple trackers in place if you are a big group of shops or restaurants. And it's all based on authentication and registration of your organization. Now, already did a registration of my own company, so I'm just going to log in with my account to this application. And there we go. So you see here, I added one organization. I have just one tracker with that associated. So I'm just going to this organization. I see here I have one tracker running, and I can launch that. And basically it gives you a very simple screen here. But what you've noticed is every configuration detail that is required for this application and these trackers to work is embedded in the flow itself. So the trigger basically for people that walk in, it can be a person self with a big kiosk screen at the entrance where you click on the button, yes, I'm walking in. It can be in the restaurant, the hostess that are standing at the front door, counting people in that are coming in group, for instance. Or you can have using an integration process at the background, basically tracking more advanced IoT devices and something like that calculate the people that are coming in. For instance, if you have a revolving door, you can see how many times it turns, for instance, and calculate that. When people walk out, they press the button and the counter goes down. So if we go to a max of 10, you can send a message to the screen saying, sorry, we are at full capacity. You have to wait till somebody leaves the shop and then you can go on. So this is a very simple application, but very useful and just helping people out to get the additional administration stuff that comes with all the COVID regulations get that a bit out of the way and make it a bit more fun even to still carry on with your life. Now, so if we have a look at the discover.boomi.com site or boomi.com/discover, we'll bring you to the same page. We have a bunch of examples here, all different categories. So if you're looking for a certain area of a flow example, you can have them here. Some of them are even downloadable with the full flow details, so you can use them in your own flow application to have a good look on what they did. Yeah, you can learn a lot from here. So basically what we are looking for is just a simple but a very helpful and attractive application that can be used by other people. Now, to register your app, if you want to go and join this challenge, you have to register the account. And like Anne said, you will get a free Flow license for a year. And then when you have your account, you can log into the system. Now I can continue straight away to my dashboard, and I tested it out this morning if everything was working, but a bit of a demo appy. But what you need to do is click the submit button for your application, and then in this list you will see all the applications that you provided. You can enter the competition multiple times with different apps. The more the merrier, basically. So when you have something developed in Flow, then you hit the submit your app button and you fill in the details that are describing your app. So give it a good title, so a catchy title, but I'm not really good in thinking of catchy titles. So I have an emergency help application for builders. For instance, something like that. So when there is an emergency on the building site, I can notify through my phone app that is built by Flow really quickly to the instances that are required, so like an ambulance or something like that. Now, what you need to do with the description as well. So the description need to contain a really good summary of what your application is doing and what type of issue it's solving. So if you are making a meeting app for dog owners in the local park or something like that, make it sure that it is well explained in the description, so the judges can look on those texts really quickly to scan the different application. So this is just a help for emergencies. And then the most important parts, of course, where is your app located? Now, to fill this URL, you have to go into the Flow application, which is here, for instance. This is my account. When you have a Flow created, and for instance, this is one that is coming out of the training, one of the training programs will result in this Flow, for instance. If you publish this Flow to go live, you will have a URL posted here, which is the URL that is the app. Now make sure if you are going really fancy with your design and you're gonna add a different player than the default player, just please select the player first before you copy this URL, because that is really important for the performance of your app. Because you see here, play is Boomi. That means I'm using the Boomi player for this app. Now, copy that one and go to the location and paste that in. So that link will be used by the judges to look at your app. Make sure it is the final version, because if you're changing the application afterwards you posted it, the URL might slightly change because the Flow ID is also referring to versioning. So you have to be sure that it is the final and perfect version that you want to commit to the challenge. Now, we would like you also to provide a little video, and this can be just posted on YouTube or Vimeo, but just like a couple of minutes explaining what the application does and how it looks like and how it works. That would be really great and helpful for the judges to make a good decision. So, what is it? YouTube, and then something with nice characters behind it. That will be the short URL then. And then if you have a graphical background or you have a nice icon for your app, just provide that thumbnail URL as well, so that will show up in the list and make it really jump out the list. And then when you're done with all this, you submit the application for approval. So there's no files that you need to upload or whatever, just the URL. This will go to the administrators and they will evaluate what you've done. And if it is all good, it will be approved and will come up in that list of submissions. If there is a little error or they have some comments for you, they will notify you by email to give you some hints and tips on how to improve your app, and then you can resubmit that one. So when
Robert, I think
yep.
I think we're probably going to have to move along just a little bit quicker.
I'm
So
done.
I think, all right, great. No, that's great. I think you covered it all. Thanks for that.
Yep. Okay. So I'm done. You can
Okay,
take it.
thanks, Robert.
Thanks for that, Ann. Appreciate that. Robert, great stuff. I didn't want to just jump in and cut you off. But glad Ann was able to do that. But no, that's
you
awesome.
can be rude. That's no problem.
No, we appreciate it. So if there are more questions, more interest, obviously just reach out to us. You can continue to use the chat and throw your questions in there. If you do have questions for the team, would be great to continue that dialogue. With that, appreciate we still have a full audience here. Glad that people are staying around to the very end for this one. We've obviously trying to cram in a lot. There's a lot of really great content to share. We will be sure to post all of this on the community for you to refer back to. Continue to stay connected to this team through the community as well. But with that, you guys, you're all in for a treat. This kind of brings all this stuff together. We talked about integration. We talked about flow. We're now going to be diving into IoT using flow and integration, so we can kind of bring some additional real-world examples of how to deploy the Boomi.
That was a smooth transition, Andrew.
So let me pass it on to you all. You should have sharing capabilities, and in the interest of time, I'm going to just let you all take it from here.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for that. And that was kind of a smooth transition and segue to what we would like to present and showcase today. And Will, what you presented previously with Flow was very exciting, was very interesting, because like as you were presenting, I was like, all right, there's a good use case, real world use case for what you're talking about, from integrations with Boomi Integrate and Flow and any other integrations or applications that are interacting with the Boomi Integrate. You mentioned IoT in real time, and what we're kind of going to be presenting is just like scratching the surface on how you can event enable your Boomi Integrate and Boomi Flow to make it more real time, responding to like real time events. You also talked about a couple of use cases, and I want to highlight that on some mission critical and safety critical use cases where you really need to interact to events in real time. Sometimes depending on like a REST API integration, it might be too slow to do so. So having a source of event enabling your real time stream of data is pretty cool. So, and I know you mentioned the competition previously, so I would like to also invite anyone. You're more than welcome to use the Solace connector in your application and in your competition. If you want to have real time and you want to event enable your final application, we could show you how you could have you can use the Solace connector in Boomi Integrate and connect that with your Flow to have real time updates. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But before we do so, Andrew, we have a poll, a couple questions for the audience to answer. Some of these questions will kind of highlight what we will be talking about. I'm going to give an idea of like what we're going to be talking about. There's going to be some heartbeat elements. So the last question has to do with a heartbeat, where we want to see your creativity on how you would like us to increase someone's heartbeat right now, because we're going to have a live demo. Where someone, I'm not going to give it away, will have their heartbeats connected. So
it's right there in the question to me. It says, how should Jesse raise his heartbeat? So
oh man,
there's no secrets. I will say that I have been going to the gym regularly in preparation for this.
Your heart rate's not going to go up too quickly?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how nervous I am. There's a whole bunch of different factors, but yeah, there's a technical aspect of this, but also sort of the fitness.
Yeah, well,
I feel like while everyone's answering the poll, you guys should introduce yourselves.
Oh.
Perfect.
As I'm watching the results, I think it may be the one answer that does get your heart rate going.
Oh yeah, the burpees. Thank you, people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Burpees.
Very, very kind of you.
As the results
all right.
My name is Tamimi, and surprise, I work for Solace, if you haven't realized from my background. And I'll be helping presenting today. Jesse?
My name's Jesse. I work for the CTO office at Solace. And typically I plan long-term strategy for integration, but particularly with Boomi because they're an awesome partner of ours. But today I am apparently almost going to tell an embarrassing story from my childhood. I'm just hoping that the burpees went out at the end. And I'll throw it over to Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
Hey guys, how you doing? Tommy here. I am a solutions architect with Boomi. Been there for about 4.5 years. Something we're doing right now, and that is partner enablement. And something we've done is help build some Boomi integration and a flow along with the Solace connector to show you some real-time data and what's just possible with some of that.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks for this intro. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And by the way, I'm from Canada. I am in Canada right now. So I wanted to see if anyone from the call is from Canada, because there is a Canadian reference in the slides. I will kickstart the presentation with the Canadian reference. Does anybody know who these are? Anyone, you could just say it out loud or put it in the comments. I would like to know if anyone know who these people are.
It might be hard with the haircut. Envision them with much longer hair.
Maybe, because like—
I feel like they're a lot older now too, or this is airbrushed.
They are.
Yeah, Jesse chose this picture. Every single time we talk about, or we present something, Canadian bands and music come out. It's usually Drake and Justin Bieber sometimes, but this is, for those of you who don't know, it's not Nickelback. It's Tamimi, Jesse, Andrew, and Tommy. This is the team that we are kind of like presenting. So now that this is out of the way and I finally made it clear to people that I'm from Canada and this is Nickelback, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you a quick overview of the problem statement that we're going to be kind of pretending that we're working for a Lorry company and kind of fixing a problem, right? So the problem statement that we wanted to present is 70% of lorry drivers are obese, and this kind of put drivers, travelers, and lorry companies are at risk. So, and as you can see from the GIF over here, is that the lorry driver, sometimes there's a risk of drivers kind of causing risk on other people. So we decided to say that, okay, Lorry Safe is a company, and their vision is to reduce risk via real-time monitoring of truck drivers' health, right? So we want to have real-time monitoring of a heartbeat of lorry drivers, and the tech stack that we're going to use to monitor this and actually kind of present that safe driving, we would like to use Boomi Integrate for database and event broker connectivity, Boomi Flow for data visibility and human interaction, the Solace PubSub Event Portal and Event Broker will be used for designing your architecture of like how you want this end application to look like, and the broker for real-time event distribution. So this is kind of like an overview of the tech stack that we're gonna take to present our application. So as a CEO of the Lorry Safe company, I asked the architects in my company to draw me an architectural diagram on how we want all this to work out. So at the bottom left corner, you'd see there's an IoT component, and this IoT component for demo's sake, it's going to be a heartbeat sensor that's plugged into the lorry driver. And the heartbeat will, the IoT device will be sending data into a Solace PubSub Plus broker. And then we will have the Boomi integration portion to process the data and present the data. And then that opens us up to a plethora of different integration that we can leverage and use within the Boomi side. So again, disclaimer that we're just scratching the surface here of all the different things you can use. So I'll go ahead and we'll pass it on to Jesse to kind of explain the IoT component, how we built it, and how it's going to be used. So Jesse, back to you.
Thanks to me. I have sort of the least interesting portion of the presentation, so I'll zoom through this. Can you see my screen right now?
I can see it.
Yes.
Awesome. So essentially what I did was I ordered a heartbeat monitor, Arduino based, and fortunately it has an MQTT interface in. And one of the great things about Solace is that it speaks Solace's native API, but it also gives you a bridging capability using REST potentially. You can use JMS, and you can also use MQTT, which is obviously very popular with various different IoT devices. And also has a ton of libraries out for any coding language that you can think of. So I coded up in Python because I like Python. I think it's cool. And so it's as simple as, to create this connectivity, importing in the PAHO MQTT client, and that speaks to the Solace event broker through it's out of the box integration. And essentially you just give it the connection passwords or connection parameters, and it goes from there. So what we do here is, and I'll just very quickly fire it up, putting sensors on myself.
And to highlight what Jesse's showing over here, this is kind of the IoT component part is, regardless what programming language or framework that you use to transfer your real-time data. So for simplicity's case and for demo's sake, we used Python. So Jesse put this Python code that uses MQTT, and MQTT is an open source, an open standard library as a messaging API. So you can see on the screen here with Jesse's heartbeat.
And let me say that live demos are terrifying enough, and now we've got a additional component where my heartbeat is being monitored. So just another element here. Sorry, I screwed up the electrodes. I mean, how many times have you told yourself about that on a live demo? Here we go. There we go. You can see my heartbeat, and as my heartbeat is being graphed, it's also being sent across the internet. This is another cool part. I'm sitting in Boston. Tamimi's over in Canada, hanging with Nickelback, and our servers are over in Virginia. So this is truly an international collaboration, and the interconnectivity allowed by Solace makes it happen. So now I got my data flowing, and now it's time to talk Solace with Tamimi. I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see how I can switch the screen here.
It's a pretty healthy looking heartbeat you got there, Jesse.
Well, we'll see what happens after the burpees, man. We'll TBD.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And so that was kind of the IoT component part. And there was a question on the chat regarding why not use a wearable technology. I'd have to point out that this part, you can use whatever you want. You could use on a wearable technology. You can actually get a heartbeat monitor, but for demo's sake, we're using an external heartbeat monitor that we could either plug it into the truck driver or have on other integrations. But at the end of the day, your IoT device will be sending real-time data using an open standard messaging API. In this example, it's MQTT. And MQTT supports is a supported standard within Solace. So assuming that we kind of have implemented the IoT portion of the architecture, now going to the Solace broker, and before I jump into a lot of details into the Solace broker implementation, I quickly want to highlight that the Solace broker itself, and again, we're just scratching the surface of, so Jesse used Python and MQTT library within Python to communicate with the Solace broker, but there is inter-broker translation to other APIs and other protocols within the broker itself. So you could have used a native Solace API, and in fact, we just released our Python API early access that you could use that to send real-time data to your Solace broker, or you can use any other languages. And this is a great example to show you that your other applications, or if you have different components within your architecture that you want to also send real-time data with other IoT devices over different protocols, this could all be sent to the Solace broker, and there will be internal translation as well to the protocol. So we did kind of the event broker side of things. Now we wanted to design our end-to-end architecture, And this is what I wanted to show from a design perspective, our event portal, which enables architects and developers and business managers to kind of interact and collaborate with each other all in a single location. So before I jump into the Boomi component side of things, I will show you so this is our Solace Cloud integration. So this is kind of the messaging surface is the broker that Jesse is sending real-time data to the broker. But part of the Solace Cloud integration, the PubSub Plus offerings, we have the event portal, where in the event portal, so here I created an application domain called Lorry Safe Corporation. And it's a very simple design where the heartbeat sensor gets sent over an event, and the heartbeat is the event. And then that is kind of received and consumed by a heartbeat processor, and that would be on the Boomi end. Mind you that this event portal gives us the ability to define a lot of metadata and schemas that for the data that is being sent. So for example, Jesse's IoT device is sending data with a particular JSON schema. So we define the JSON schema in this event portal to have a consistency and unify the interaction between the different integrations you have. So for example, we have here in the IoT side of things, Jesse is sending from the IoT device an event with a particular payload schema, and that payload schema will iterate and traverse through the end-to-end architecture to have a unified way to interact with your data. So that's kind of one of the nice things about the event portal. So I know I didn't dig in a lot of details on how the your architecture is being designed on the event portal, but definitely there's a lot of things that we can do with this. But I wanted to highlight that this portion of the architecture is technically now done, which is the IoT sending to a Solace PubSub Plus broker, and the design of the architecture is designed in the event portal over here. So this is the IoT and the Solace component side. We have a few slides for you today because we wanted to highlight on a demo. I will pause a minute over here and step back before I pass it to Tommy, where he will show us how he would do the Boomi integrate component to configure the Solace connector on the Boomi integrate side to listen to this data, and then trigger a flow integration through a very simple use case demo. And again, we're simplifying this to show you the ability of doing an end-to-end integration of real-time data. And imagine this being implemented in a mission-critical or a safety-critical use case where you're getting real-time data and goes all the way to presenting it for visibility on the front end and even alerting and notifying people in a short amount of time in real time. So I'll step back for a bit before I pass it on to Tommy. And
hey, Tamimi, we got like 3 minutes left, so
okay,
we'll go over to Tamimi, or sorry, to Tommy. Tommy, kick it off.
There you go. Awesome.
All right, guys. Hey, can you see my screen at all?
Not quite yet. Yeah, there we go.
Up. Not quite. Okay. All right. So this is going to be the Boomi portion. What we've got here is the Solace PubSub Connector. And we're going to set that up. We've got our connection credentials here. But what you're going to need is the host, the VPN name, username, password, and an event portal API token, which you can all grab from the Solace site. But as soon as you enter this information in, you've got a connection to Solace. All of our connections are like that. It's just simple drag and drop, plug and play. Once we have our connection set up, we've got our profile here. You can see that we're hooked into this particular topic subscription where we're going to get the data. And what we're going to do, if I can move Zoom bar away, is we're going to call a database to get what the heart rate of Jesse should be. And then we're going to compare that in this map shape. send it to a database, and then we have a flow where we can actually view this data. So if I come over here, let me refresh this. You can see that we're getting data right now from Jesse's heart rate monitor. And if I come over here, I've got a flow. And our flow is showing us, maybe that's whenever you got some of those electrodes a little messed up, but because I don't think your heart rate was 0. But if I click through, we can
I really
show...
hope not, Tommy, because that would be
Jesse, you're still alive, right?
for everybody. I think I'm still alive, but we'll find out.
We see we have a level over here that's showing us up or down. There we go. There's some good spots here.
All right, good.
Yeah,
and this is real-time data. So this is the data like
yes.
right now when Jesse sent his heartbeat over the wire. Look at that.
Electrodes got messed up a little bit there. Yeah.
Nothing like a little harassment from colleagues. Appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. All right, so now the poll response was, and we've got 2 minutes left. I'm going to go do some burpees.
Go do some burpees, right?
You keep on talking. I'm going to go do some burpees.
Do some burpees, and then we could clear the database to get real-time data. But as Jesse,
thank goodness the embarrassing story did not win out.
Go do some real-time burpees to get your heartbeat up. But I wanted to kind of highlight on this is the ease and simplicity of integrating or implementing such an end-to-end application architecture from an IoT device streaming real-time data sent over a Solace PubSub Plus event broker on an architecture that is designed by the event portal, and then the connector on the Boomi integrate side would take this data. So right now, an example, let's say that Jesse is a truck driver and his heartbeat is increasing. So as he plugs in all the devices or sensors on him, we could see that the data is flowing in real time. So, and mind you, we do have, with the sick time, we do have tutorials and samples and videos on how this could be easily configured on your end, but I wanted to kickstart that conversation. So Jesse, did you do burpees?
I did do burpees. I'm getting a little bit of dirty data right now. I'm a little out of breath. It says my heartbeat is way up there. But I think we should be normalizing really soon. There we go. 160. That seems reasonable.
All right, and it's being
Let's
sent.
refresh this.
There we go.
All right.
20.
Might have a little bit of lag there.
You're alive.
I'm alive.
You are alive.
And I feel like I'm in almost too good a shape right now. I feel like I'm not able.
Oh, jump to 260.
All right, there we go.
240.
There we go.
Oh yeah, 240.
All right.
Back down to 120, 100.
Great, thanks for that, Jesse.
I am sweating. I am sweating.
80, yes.
All right.
Amazing. But yeah, that's kind of the overall implementation of this. And Tommy, did you have anything else you wanted to say on the stuff on your end? Otherwise, I could just do a final kind of way to.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention about, in Flow, we're seeing this data. Here we can drill in to actually see, all right, what region were they in? What time did this happen? Put more buttons to alert other people as long as, they sign up for. There's probably some privacy issues with that you would need to take care of. But something in particular, this is another one of Leslie's flows here, particular to rail inspections. But it's real-time data. It's coming in. We can see how quickly they're getting the details. They're bringing in their documenting their fixes. They're getting that information real time. This is the same sort of thing with Lorry Safe. We tried to make it a little more fun. But yeah, this is all specific to real-time data and getting you your data much quicker and being able to act on it.
Perfect. And to finalize kind of the what wanted to share is that you can find a lot of information on this. You know, if you're interested to either dabble more with real-time or event-driven development or using the Solace connector, you can go to our Solace community on solace.community or on Boomiverse community and start the conversation there. We also have code labs that have tutorials on like a step-by-step tutorial on how to configure your Solace broker and your Solace connector on the in the Boomi Integrate side. So you could search for a Solace code labs. I put the link on the chat. And lastly, we did this same demo but live on YouTube. So if you just search Solace Boomi YouTube, these 3 keywords on YouTube, and you will find a live coding session where we live coded all this on a live session as well. You could check it out.
And lots more Nickelback.
And oh yeah, we talked more about Nickelback, and there was a treat in the video of me eating chips. Yeah. So if you find that, that would be great. Please let me know if you find it. Either tweet at me on Twitter or post it on community. I'd be so happy to know if someone finds out which part of the video I was eating chips and I forgot to mute myself. So just wanted to.
We got to throw it back to Andrew. We've got like big announcement. I'm super pumped up about what Andrew's going to tell us about.
Andrew,
so another really slick transition into the next part of our the next and final, I'll say, next and final part of today. Is first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. I know we're at about time here. We're actually a little bit over time, so appreciate everyone for sticking around for the few minutes. We had a jam-packed day today, lots and lots of content. So the smooth transition is that you will be able to hear a lot more of this really great content at our Out of This World campaign coming up in just a couple of weeks, including Solace. We will be doing a couple of user groups, so we'll be able to continue to have these live conversations with you all at Out of This World. So we're gonna do 2 things here in the interest of time. Number 1, I'm gonna have Das pick up this slide here. She'll take you through the Out of This World journey very briefly to give you an idea of what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Number 2, I'm going to launch the final and closing poll, which gives us that opportunity to collect your feedback to improve these sessions in the future. And again, thirdly, just wanted to say one more time, thank you for everyone for joining today. Hopefully you learned a lot, got a lot of key takeaways from today's session. We can continue to engage and interact via the community, and look forward to seeing you at the next one and even sooner at Out of This World. So Das, I'm going to kick the poll off. I'll let people take that final poll while you're talking through the slide.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I work on Boomi, and we just wanted to let you know, this year we couldn't have our Boomi World and get everyone in one place for our user conference. So we are taking you out of this world, and we're going to host a 3-week-long, totally free virtual series. It's kicking off September 29th, so pretty soon. We'll have new episodes launching every week, and through those weeks, like Andrew mentioned, we'll have user groups, there'll be learning sessions, a lot of celebrity guests that are going to be announced over the next few days.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is it
Surprises and delights.
Is it Nickelback?
I know, Solace stole my thunder. Yeah, Nickelback's going to be there.
Nickelback.
But registration's open now. So, Chris McNabb's going to kick it off on the 29th. And it's just going to be, you can come back. There'll be some on-demand content. There'll be some live content. So we're really giving you everything that we would give you in our Boomi World. So if you want to register today, registration's open. You could go to boomi.com/OOTW-hub, so Out of This World-hub, and check it out. There's a lot more information on the website, and we think it's going to be really great, and if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or reach out to me.
Awesome. Das, thank you for that. So we'll use the last, while we still have a few people on the line here, let's The poll is live, as I've seen some responses come in, so thank you for those who have contributed to that so far. Let's use whatever time is remaining. We'll stick on as long as you'd like. If anybody has any live feedback about this event, especially our returning guests, as compared to the last event, how do you compare this one to that one? Is this one better? I felt like we really jammed this one with a lot of content. Didn't give a whole lot of time for questions. So I'm taking that as a mental note for next time, but this was super excited to be able to share everything today with you all and try to complete a story. So we'd had the DevOps discussion in the beginning and integration, and then we led into a more of a flow focused conversation, and then sort of this real world example of IoT devices using different parts of the Boomi platform to bring you some cool examples of how these tools can be used in the outside world. So any questions for the speakers, any feedback for us, or any questions for us? So now's the final chance. Anybody? Jesse, I see a thumbs up. That means no questions.
That's I have a thumbs up as well.
That's a number 2.
Yeah.
Did you all watch the John LaJoy video, by the way?
I did. Of course I did. Oh man, he's hilarious.
Another Canadian, famous Canadian. Is he? I thought that was a real video, actually, the first time I saw it. He was really good.
He's hilarious. Yo, Canadian art is underrated. I'm telling you, it's underrated. There's a lot of underdogs in Canada that have like solid content for sure.
For sure, Canada, I feel like outpunches its weight. Like relatively small country, but some good art coming out of Canada.
Yep. What's your? Does anybody know what the national sport is in Canada?
Is it curling?
Nope.
It's not curling.
Labatt?
I mean, I want to say hockey, but it seems too obvious.
It is too obvious because it's not. Anybody else? Anybody else know?
No,
Mike
not
Williams
baseball.
says baseball, not baseball.
It's lacrosse.
Not baseball.
Lacrosse.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, it's not bad. I live in Florida. How do I know that, right?
I was gonna say, Andrew, you're impressing me with your Canadian trivia.
Yeah. Well, I grew up playing hockey, so.
There you go.
Did
you ever play lacrosse?
I never played lacrosse. Actually, I did try out for lacrosse with all my hockey pads on, and I don't think I was very good, so I didn't. And I was also a pretty small kid growing up, and just didn't feel like it was the best to put my hockey career at risk. I had hopes and dreams of being in the NHL, and that didn't happen.
But hockey's a great sport in itself.
It is. But I did play a lot in Canada growing up, so that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Anybody else aside from the chit chat from this team? I see a baseball was one response in the chat.
I would just like to add, Andrew, that if anyone or any of the customers have any ideas or topics they would like to discuss in the next user group, I'm the customer success director here in the UK, Rosemary. So if they send it along to me, I'd be delighted, and I'll work with marketing, who are also spearheading all of this, and yourself, because we are very keen that it is usable and it works for the UK and Irish group. So thank you, everybody.
That's great. And we do have some feedback coming in through the poll. It's actually we have a pretty even split. I'm seeing unified platform overview, product roadmap update, mostly a lot of integration responses, API management, EDI, MDH, DCP, and then a custom connector development hackathon. So maybe we can get the Solace folks to help out with something like that.
You bet.
Or if anybody on the group right now feels they would be up to sharing their journey so far, or how it's gone, ups and downs, warts and all, then we're always really keen to get any of the customers to speak to other customers. So if anybody's up for that, that would be brilliant.
That's right. That's right. That'd be great. And I do see. I'm happy to see that I have several responses for folks that are interested in perhaps joining the leadership or planning team. And we are going to be launching a local leader program where we can get you all to help support in driving these events and owning these events. So rather than Boomi run, customer supported, they become customer run, Boomi supported. So we will continue to be here to help support those efforts and to help you all have these events more often or as often as you'd like. We certainly look forward to returning to the live events and perhaps meeting at a pub next time, and we can have some fish and chips and a few beers at a pub and talk about Boomi. That would be more fun.
Perfect. I'll bring my lacrosse gear. Don't worry.
Yes, there we go. There we go. Great. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap, everyone. Again, I can't thank everyone enough. Hope everyone is remaining safe and looks forward to the fall season in the UK, getting away from the hot and steamy summer months. Yeah, be safe. We'll see you at the next one, and we certainly look forward to seeing you at Out of This World coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Perfect.
Any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us via the community. We will have this wrap up posted to the community shortly, and we'll send out a link to everyone that attended today. So thank you again. Stay in touch, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew. Fun as always.
And to our speakers, thanks everyone again. You all were great, and sorry to have to rush you at the end, but we'll be mindful of that for our next one.
Thank you very much,
Thanks, Andrew.
everybody.
Yes, of course. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.